Yeah. Yeah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma alimna ma yanfa'una وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجه الكريم. I praise Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. I thank Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And I ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to raise the rank and the honor and the status and the esteem of Sayyidina Muhammad, his family, his companions, and all those who follow them until the day of judgment. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. This is going to be a extended scattered thoughts today and tomorrow and maybe Friday, because what I want to do is talk to you as a leader, as Imam Amin, as a brother as well, but as a leader. And sometimes we don't speak from the leadership standpoint, so sometimes we are misunderstood. From listening to several elder imams, and I'm telling you the imams I listened to over this last couple of days I've been listening to. I listened to Imam Siraj Wahaj talk about his history. It's not the first time I heard it, but I listened to him again. I talked to Imam Mutawwif, and we heard him yesterday. I had the opportunity to talk to an elder imam. He's in Saudi Arabia now, from Philadelphia. His name was Ali Ahmed. I talked to my mother-in-law, who was the wife of Sheikh Kamil Wadud. And then I talked to my sheikh, one of my sheikhs, who been around since the 60s, Sheikh Ibrahim Abdul Aziz, Hafidhullah Ta'ala. So from all these, and all of them are over 70, every single one of them. And then when you add our discussion with our brother Dr. Rasul Miller and our brother Akil Fahad and Imam Genius, Imam Fahim, we've been talking. As leaders, imams, that goes for all of us, especially our generation, Black imams, we have, a responsibility. Give me 1 second. Excuse the sound in the background. So as imams, we have a responsibility to lead our generation. Now, every imam that we meet in our generation, if you talk to them, and I've talked to them all around the country, I talk to them regularly, we all share the same issue in our leadership. There's always those who know how to do it better, but don't do it better. That exists. And as imams, we fall short. We make mistakes. We miss the mark, right? And what happens in our community a lot, oftentimes in our community, is the blame game and the lack of responsibility as a collective. So I thought to myself, I watched all of our communities and I see the decline in the Black Muslim community across the country. I see the decline. So as a leader, you have to figure out why such a decline, right? Why is there such a decline? And you have to start examining that stuff to try to reverse the trend, right? So yesterday I mentioned about history. I said that history are lessons and advices for the present and a roadmap for the future. Can y'all put that up, the fast typers among you? History are lessons and advices for the present and a roadmap for the future. So when I look at our communities, I say, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to have sustainable African American Muslim communities? So I thought of 5 essential things that we need to work on, from looking at our history, looking at our present, and living in the future of those Muslims who were in our past. So I think there's 5 things that we need to concentrate on. These are my thoughts. And I would like each of you to look at these 5 points and put your input. I want to hear your input. So I'm going to put out information. You take that information and then you put your thoughts to it. And collectively, we'll try to map out a road for the future and see what we need to do to make a better present from examining and reflecting upon our history. So I have 5 things that I think we need to work on and to become excellent in as a starting point. They don't have to be in order, all 5 of them we need, right? So even though I'm going to say them in order, they don't have to be in order. We just need all 5 of them. And I believe they need to be done simultaneously, right? So the first thing that comes to my mind after listening and writing, and I have a bunch of notes from all these classes, all these lessons and talks. And the way I write notes, I write them in points so that I can highlight them. Is education. The first thing that I wrote down was education. And when I say education, I mean it in its broadest sense. All forms of education are important to us, and we just have to designate who among us can be the most successful in each field of education. I think that's a task, right? Selecting the best of us for the different fields of education. So if we just want to break education down into 2 points, 2 parts, Islamic education and secular education, right? So we need Islamic education, and then we need secular education. And in our communities, we need to select among our members the best suited to pursue each field that we need. So education, extremely important. The second thing that we need to really think about is recognizing what we don't know. The second thing is recognizing what we don't know. It's extremely important. Not knowing is not the problem. Not knowing is not the problem. But failing to identify the fact that you don't know is a major problem. I'll repeat that. Not knowing is not the problem. Everybody has things they don't know. But when we fail to identify the fact that we don't know, that's a major problem. Because when you don't realize that you don't know, you're not going to seek knowledge, which is going to ultimately lead to destruction. And I think in many areas in our communities, we have this second problem. We haven't identified in an adequate manner what we don't know, right? And worse than that, sometimes we know we don't know and we won't admit it, which causes problems. So sometimes, because of that problem, we'll get into things that we're not the best suited to do. And we would block one who is more suited to do that. So this issue of identifying our weaknesses in education, whether it is religious or secular or worldly, is extremely important. And it should not be taken as a put down. Rather, it is a strength. Because if you realize, I don't know a thing, even if you don't have the ability to learn it, you realize there's a shortfall here, and it's a gap, and we need to fill that gap. But if you don't realize that, you'll try to do something you can't do, or you don't have the know-how to do, and that can be disastrous for our communities. The third thing is Black love, nation building. We have to realize several things. We are Black. We are Black people, Black Americans, African Americans, descendants of ex-slaves, whatever you want to call it. We are a unique people. I want you to put that. We, as Black people in America, are a unique people. Please put that up. We, as Black people in America, are a unique people. No. More clear. We, as Black people in America, are a unique people. I don't want it to be vague. I'm specifically talking about something, right? Don't divert the conversation. I was explicit. I didn't beat around the bush. I didn't, how they say, mince my words. I was specific in what I said. That's what I said. We, as Black people in America, are a unique people. That doesn't mean to offend no one else. But I'm not talking to nobody else. At this point, I'm specifically talking to Black people, African Americans in the United States, in our communities, under our conditions. That is important. And you can't put that in a global box and then ignore it. Listen to what I said. You can't put that in a global box and then ignore it. We must refuse to let anyone do that. So don't tell me we just Muslim. I got that part. We uttered the Shahada. I know I'm a Muslim. You not letting me forget I'm a Muslim, don't let me forget I'm Black too, because that directly affects my life. Do you hear what I said? The fact you remind me I'm a Muslim, I realize that. Don't forget I'm Black too, because that has a direct impact on my life. The fact that I'm a Black American, it means something in the world we live in. One of our biggest mistakes as a people is forgetting that fact. No one in the world forgets that except us. No one in the world forgets their ethnicity, their background, their cultural reality in the world except us. And we must stop that. That doesn't mean we're against others. Let me put this to you. Please put this up. To love yourself does not necessitate that you hate others. To love yourself does not necessitate that you hate others. This is real. And I think, as Dr. Sherman Jackson put it, he indicated it. He said, Sunni Islam, the way we took it, did a disservice to our reality in America. Wow, that's deep. It was an indication. He used other words, but that was what was indicated. Sunni Islam, the way we took it, the way we embodied it, did an extreme disservice to Black Muslims in America. That sounds harsh, but I want you to listen to it. Sunni Islam, the way we took it, the way we embodied it, the way we practice it, did a huge disservice to Black Muslims in America. Does everybody understand what I just said, those words? I don't want you to misunderstand. Did you understand what I just said? I'll repeat it. Sunni Islam, the way we embodied it, the way we practice it, the way we understood it, did an extreme disservice to Black Muslims in America. And I'll talk about that. So that Black love, nation building, tribal dignity, you could call it whatever you want, we need it. We have to stop seeing ourselves as the enemy. I'm not your enemy. I'm actually your ally in the same conditions as you. I'm not your enemy. Imam Mutawif, may Allah preserve him, said something last night. We all know it, but I don't know if you remember. Did you catch it? He said, we always think someone else's ice is colder. He said that. Man, 79 years old. He's been a leader for 50 years. He recognized some things. We always think someone else's ice is colder. Back in the day, we said it this way, that the white man's ice is always colder. We think the white man's ice is always colder. And then when we became Sunni, we thought the immigrant's ice is always colder. No matter where that immigrant came from. His Islam is better than ours. His understanding of Islam is better than ours. Therefore, we always must be subservient to their understandings and their ideas. Therefore, they become the ones who direct our reality and existence, which is a huge mistake that no one makes except us. Huge mistake. So, because that's such a mistake, we don't have Black leadership no more that we agree upon, even as Sunnis. As Black American Muslims, we have no national leadership that we agree are national leaders. There are some people, some communities who select a leader among themselves, but the majority of Black Muslims ain't paying them no attention. You heard what I said? So we don't have critical mass in terms of following leadership, which is a problem. So our efforts are always scattered because we don't respect anyone among us as a leader, because we don't love ourselves enough. This is a problem. Because you can say this by way of, take a poll. If you go around the country where there are Black imams, you would find that most of those imams, right, are either leaderless altogether, or their leaders are immigrants or foreigners. Very few have Black leadership besides themselves. No, this is number 3. Number 3, Black love. Black love is why we don't have leadership. We don't love ourselves, so we don't follow us. Somebody else got to tell us what to do. I ain't listening to you. So you can't tell me nothing. I got to hear it from somebody else. And it's a problem. Because no one who's not like you and doesn't experience what you experience can speak adequately to your concerns. No one, I don't care who they are, who doesn't experience what you experience, confront the circumstances that you confront, can speak to your condition adequately. No one but you. This is real stuff. So we have to build a sense of self-love among us as a people. Everybody has that in the world. We have to develop it. When you understand we are unique people, I'm not African. I'm not. I don't care if I want to be. I'm not African. I am a black man living in the shores of the United States of America. Ain't nobody on the planet like us. We different. They may be different. They may have some similarities, but nobody's like us. No one been in the circumstances we've been in. No one is in the situation we're in. We have a unique set of circumstances, a unique way of life, a unique culture, and a unique thought pattern. We are different. That's real. Does anyone disagree with that? Does anyone disagree with that? This is a discussion, not an argument, not a debate. So I just ask, does anyone disagree with that fact? There's a lot of y'all answer. There's a bunch of people in this room. And I'm happy that you come every morning. I ain't say we better. I said we different. I didn't say we better than nobody. So don't take different mean better. Don't take unique meaning better. That's not what I'm saying. I said we unique and we different. Right? With that being said, I'm gonna give you an example of that. I was talking to one of my colleagues, and we were talking about some religious issues. So we needed some dispensations for some circumstances that exist in our reality. Everyone knows what a dispensation is, right? Does anyone not know what a dispensation is Islamically? Rukhsa. Because I don't want to talk over your heads. So a dispensation is, there is the normal ruling or a strict ruling. But the circumstance you in, it's difficult or almost not possible to perform the strict ruling. So in the sacred law, in those circumstances, you're giving another ruling that is not the rule, but because of the circumstance, it becomes permissible. It's called a dispensation, right? So there is a stricter ruling, or there is a rule, but because of the circumstance that one may find oneself in, that rule or that stricter rule cannot be applied. So in the sacred law, a dispensation can be given, right? So that the person can fulfill their needs within that circumstance. Give you an example. If you don't have no food and you're going to die, it's permissible at that moment to take the dispensation to eat enough pork to sustain your life. Not more than that. What is needed to sustain your life? Pork's haram. But in this circumstance, if you don't eat it, you're going to die. So it's permissible in that circumstance to eat the amount to sustain your life till lawful food becomes available. That's called a dispensation. You'll get that quick, right? Is that clear? Pork's not halal. And when you eat it, it's not considered lawful. It's considered a dispensation. Another example, and there are multiple examples, these are extremes, so you can get the point. Some are not as extreme. You don't have water and it's not available. You need to pray, so you can use dirt. The uses of dirt is not how you make purification as far as ablution. The dirt becomes a dispensation because of the absence of water. Hence, when you find water, you can't use dirt no more because dirt is a dispensation. It's not the normal rule. All right. So I was talking to my colleague about a similar case. So we called some of our teachers overseas. And I was looking for teachers, and because we got different teachers, some we share and some are different. But this was a specific ruling. I won't go into the case, but there was a specific case that needed a dispensation because of our condition. So we contact some sheikhs and they gave us answers. And I told him, I said, the answer is not satisfactory. We don't accept. He looked at me like, this was Sheikh so-and-so. I said, that ain't the point. That answer is not sufficient. Should have saw his face. Because the sheikh that I said no to his answer was a big scholar. And my teacher as well. But the point wasn't about his rank and his status. The point was about our circumstance, and that answer is not sufficient. Why? Because he just gave the rule in the religion without considering our circumstance. He didn't consider our circumstance at all. He just gave the rule, which doesn't work for us. So we kept talking to different teachers. And I said, stop asking questions without explaining details. Then we shot the questions back with the details to them. And the answer came back totally different. When we explained all the details, the whole answer was different. And we were given dispensations for the case, right? But had we not explained the entire circumstance, we would have got insufficient answers, and we would have acted upon that and made our lives miserable in that circumstance. Because the sheikh, he doesn't understand the black people's situation. He has no clue. So he's just giving you the general rule, which is the rule. However, because of your circumstance, that rule is not applicable to you. It's the general rule, but you don't have a general situation. You have something specific, and it has its own details. And in that case, it needs to be expanded and understood differently. Do y'all understand the point? I'm giving you a point. I'm not going into details because that'll become a whole nother discussion. That is the sacred law. It works like that. So most of the time, when we took the deen in our communities, we took it and try to apply it without fully understanding and articulating our particular circumstances and how these rules relate to our circumstances. So we have to love ourselves enough to protect ourselves from being manipulated or deprived because someone doesn't understand our circumstances and our conditions, and they're giving us legal rulings for something they don't understand. Hence, as our teacher said, the one who judges a people without understanding their circumstances is a criminal. Write that. Whoever judges a people without understanding their circumstances is a criminal. I repeat, put it up. Whoever judges a people without understanding their circumstances is a criminal. Can we put that up and copy it? Right. So copy that. Whoever judges a people without understanding their circumstances is a criminal. Put that up. I think we need to let that sink in. Since you said and you agreed that we are a unique people because of the unique circumstances we find ourselves in, then whoever teaches us needs to understand that. They need to understand that. And no one is going to truly understand that except us, because we're the only one in those unique circumstances. SubhanAllah. Hence, you will notice around the world, anywhere you go in the world, the teachers of the people in an area are from those people in that area, anywhere in the world. That doesn't mean they don't benefit from others, but the people that are generally the leaders in a specific area among the people are from those people. That's the norm around the world. You ever went to Chinatown and see an American leading all the Chinese? You ever go to another country and see the leaders from somewhere else, and they're not conquerors or intruders leading those people? You're not going to see that. But why is it so easy to come in the Black community and become a leader, dictate policy, and not be from them, not even live among them? That's because of the lack of Black love we have for each other. And our education, our Islamic education, unfortunately, going back to that indication Dr. Sherman gave, taught us that Islam is above your Blackness. Listen to this. It taught us that Islam is above your Blackness, which is true. Follow me. Islam is above your Blackness. That's true. The problem comes when the Islam you receive is designed to subjugate your blackness. I don't know if that flew over your head. Follow what I said. You received an Islam that you were told is above your blackness. Islam is above your blackness. But the Islam, the way you received it, the understanding of Islam was designed to subjugate your blackness. That's a problem. Did you follow that? Did y'all follow that? I can point examples if you want, but did you follow? You might not need the example. You know, they say that in an indication is a clear expression, right? Did you follow that? Let me give you a living example. I like my city because I live here. I can say what I want. It's my home, right? I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you Atlantic City, and you can compare by other cities. I'm from here. I want to share something to you. Masjid Muhammad is the oldest African-American led masjid in Atlantic City and all of South Jersey, right? It was established as a community, a religious community, 1955. It went through its stages. Nation of Islam, to the world community, Imam Mufti Muhammad, to Sunni Islam, so-called proper, to where we're at today. Many stages. So there was a time in this city that the only masjid was ran by African Americans. No matter who you were, if you wanted to come to Islam, you're going to have a black leader. And the masjid was in the inner city of the black community. This is Atlantic City. And that was like that for years, right? And even when you had disagreements and understanding of the deen, as people learn more, they say, well, we ain't with this. It was blacks. It was African Americans. So they may have started another masjid, but it was African Americans, right? The more we learned, the more we went away from a black leadership model. So-called learning. To the point that in Atlantic City, the majority of the masjid are ran by foreigners, immigrants that are not from Atlantic City, and of course, they're not black. The majority. And even in our masjid, which is the only masjid ran by an African American or black person, Afro, whatever you want, descendant of ex-slave, whatever term you want to use to describe us, this unique people, It's only one. It's only one. And if it weren't for the spirit that we have, they would wipe us out of the whole discourse. I have a certain spirit. I don't allow that. So I become the face of Islam so that we're not wiped out in this area I'm talking about. If I remain silent, we're done. When we were the foundation of Islam in this city, in this area, think about that. No, this is real talk. If I remain silent, we're finished in this whole area. How the hell that happened? Think about that. And everyone who lives in this area knows it's a fact. Like it or, how they say, like it or love it or whatever they call it, right? It's true. How the hell that happened? What happened? If you think about that, you know what happened? We stopped loving ourselves. And then we had a narrative of Islam that didn't include us, to where we were already insignificant in the society, and now we became insignificant in Islam. That's some deep stuff. Think about it. And that's happening all over the country. It's happening all over the country. And how many of you from Atlantic City in this area? Let's be honest. How many of you are from Atlantic City and the surrounding areas? Just say me. Don't hide. Come out. Come out. I want to make a point. Come out. Be honest. Right? Let's be honest. All y'all from Atlantic City. Keep it real. Am I lying? Am I mistaken? You watched. You've been here. Am I mistaken? Am I mistaken? Born and raised. Am I mistaken? That's real stuff. That's happening all around the country. So I don't have to speak about anyone else. I'll give you an example. New York City. Forget Atlantic City. Atlantic City's small. It hurts. New York City. Malcolm X. Sunni Islam. Sheikh Dawood. Blacks. Dadar. Imam Yahya. Blacks. In New York City right now, the black masjids have no power. Zero. You find the immigrants have taken over the shorter boards, everything. They're in charge. I didn't receive that from myself. One of the elder black imams told me that. That's in New York City. How many of you are from New York? How many of you from New York City? Any borough. How many of you from New York City? It got so bad with those councils that the black imams in New York made their own group. That's how bad it got. So they have the Shura of Black Imams because they're getting wiped out with money, with influence, everything in New York City, the home of Malcolm X. It's New York City. And it's slowly happening in every major city. While we as black folks continue to fight and destroy one another. And they unify and count us out. Till we go right into extinction. I'm telling you, I'm living it. I'm living it. I'm in a city. I see it. I travel around. I see it. We were in New Mexico. In New Mexico, the black communities were treated less than. They didn't have a part. That's New Mexico. We were there. We went to Kansas, the same thing. We went to California, the same thing. Don't you realize we're fighting for our survival, brothers and sisters? We're fighting for our survival. And then someone tells us that our blackness is not important. He's on that black stuff. While you say to us, blacks don't count. And you act upon that feeling. Your state says it. You might not say blacks don't count. Your state says that. And your actions speak louder than your state. Real stuff. So that becomes important. And here's our elder, Tenweer. He said, I've been to at least 45 states, and it's the same thing. And this is real. This is a real reality. So that's number 3. Number 4. So number 1 I mentioned was education. Number 2 was identifying what we don't know. Because that's important. Number 3, black love and nation building. We have to have that inside of us. Number 4, economic development. We need money. We need money. We need infrastructure. We need business. We cannot, in this United States of America, remain poor. We can't do it. It doesn't work. our communities must be financially stable. It's a must, non-negotiable item. We have to be financially stable. Anyone who tells us don't worry about money is our enemy. I said it straight. Anyone who tells us, let me change the word. I don't say worry because you shouldn't worry about money. Anyone who tells us not to be concerned with the issue of our financial stability is our enemy. Let me say that again so we can rephrase my statement. Anyone who tells us not to be concerned about our financial stability is our enemy. One more time. Anyone who tells us not to be concerned about our financial stability is our enemy. Because one of the reasons people dominate us and took over our communities and become the voices of Islam when we were the voices of Islam in this country is partly because of their financial influence. What stove? Something's cooking? What? Same thing is cooking when I put it in the phone. Oh, the chickens. I'm sorry, excuse me. Financial stability, economic development. We need money. So that part we got to get. We're in America. Poor people in America will be subjugated, dominated, and annihilated. This is the world we live in. In the world is generally like that, but especially in America. Poor people will be subjugated, dominated, and eliminated eventually. It is what it is. So in our communities, we have to address the money issue. We be tripping when it comes to the money issue. We be tripping. And if we don't financially support our institutions, we won't have them. And if we don't have those institutions, we as a people will be divided and eliminated from the whole discourse. Our institutions are our gathering places. If we don't financially support them, we won't have them. And when we don't have them, we will never work together. That's why the first thing the Prophet ﷺ established was the masjid when he went to Al-Medina. The first thing. And he built everything else around it because that was their gathering place. That's where they strategized. That's where they built. 5 times a day at minimum, they came there to build together. We have to get serious about supporting, maintaining, and developing our Black Islamic institutions, our Black institutions in general, but specifically for this, I'm talking about our Black Islamic institutions. Go around the country. At one time, there were Sister Clara Muhammad schools all around the country. Where our youth saw Black excellence to a degree. And now you look around the country, they're gone, very few. And they're replaced with immigrant schools where Black kids are not made to feel welcome. Have y'all seen that trend as well? This is real stuff. And most of those schools failed because they wasn't financially supported. While there was an increase in immigrant schools and institutions, there was a complete collapse of African American or Black educational institutions. These are things we have to deal with. They're factual things. So that's 4. And let me finish this point on 4. And until we gain economic empowerment, our respect and honor among other ethnicities will never be regained. I repeat this. Until we get economic empowerment, we'll never regain the level of respect and honor among other ethnicities. I don't care how much you know. I'll give you the living example. Islamic education, we can compete with the best. We can compete with the best Islamic education. We got knowledge. We got chains of narration. We got scholars. We can compete with the best, right? We can compete with the best. However, when it comes to the financial aspect, you're looked at as inferior. No matter how much you know. No matter how pious you are in the society we live in. And therefore, you're not able to move in the society with strength because you're not financially empowered. That's the world we live in. That's the society we live in. Like it or not, it's real. It's a natural thing. Listen, let me explain. We can't make excuses for why we are not doing. It's not about getting others respect. That's not your objective in terms of why you need to do it. But it's a natural outcome when you do it. I know it for sure. You want me to give you an example? I'll give you an example. This is human nature. Let me understand something, young buck. Listen. Listen for a minute. I'm messing with Nail. Listen for a minute. Stop trying to be smart. Listen for a minute. Just pay attention, right? I know for sure I used to have a lot of money, a lot. I know the difference of how people talk to me now than then. Do you understand what I point? I used to have a lot of money, a lot, a whole lot. I know how people used to talk to me then, and I'm knowledgeable. I learned the religion, I'm imam, and just the way they talk to me is different. Do you understand that? I'm the same person. The same person. The same person. But in this society we live in, right? The way you got to move, you know why the Jews are so powerful in the country? Their financial influence. Their lobbying. You think if they was broke, anybody would pay them any attention? You broke, do they pay you any attention? No, period. They don't. In the world we live in, I'm not talking about with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our Sufi talk. I'm talking about the reality on the ground. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. A major difference. That's why our hand, a lot of us, is like this, not like this. Our hands are like this, not like this. And since we're talking about the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, the upper hand is where we want to be. We want to be the one giving, not the one asking. If you understand what I'm saying. Now, do you understand what I'm saying? It's a natural outcome of doing what you got to do. When you financially empower yourself, that's going to be a natural outcome. Because I can build just like you. I can do what I got to do. I'll give you here. The immigrants here, they don't like me, but they do respect me. Even if they don't want to, they have to. You know why? I don't ask them for nothing. I come on an evil playing field. Masjid Muhammad is not coming. You know, every year at Ramadan, they talk to you no time of year. Ramadan, they come around with some slips and come to your community and say, here, we want to give some zakat. Every year I tell them no. No. Absolutely not. No, I don't need your $20. Our dignity is bigger than that. If you really want to cooperate, let's build some real stuff, not insult us, giving each person $20, which is not going to benefit anybody. No, we don't want it. Could you talk to the imam? He's turning away zakat. No, I'm turning away you insulting our community. I'm not turning away zakat. I'm turning away you insulting our community. These are my ideas. You can disagree with me, right? But I don't play that game. Absolutely not. We'll take care of our own zakat if that's the case. What's wrong with us? You're only giving us $20 a person. We can't give our own people $20, $100, $50. We could do that. Some of us can do it ourselves. What favor are you doing us besides insulting us? So that's what I mean by that. And I know it for sure. It's not something I'm talking about. It's facts in the society we live in. It's real, like it or not. Because we've learned, unfortunately, just do dhikr and stay, and you're all poor. This doesn't work. Not in the society we live. It may work for your spiritual health, but your physical reality is going to remain the same. You can't just sit around and chant and make dhikr and, and you got to work too. The Prophet ﷺ said, the best work is the work by your own hand. With dua, with piety, not just dua and piety and leave the work part out. So we walking around broke, can't pay the bills of the masjid. Some of us can't even take care of our families. And we think that's piety. No, it doesn't work. And all we have to do is look at our masajid and we see a lot of that don't work. So that's an issue. Is my point clear? And the reason why I can be kind of harsh sound, because that's how we think. And let me tell you something. Tasawwuf don't mean poor. Could y'all put that up there? Tasawwuf, Sufism, doesn't mean poor. So whoever told you that's a liar. Tasawwuf does not mean poor. It's not the equal of tasawwuf, poor. No. Please copy that. Tasawwuf does not mean poor. Please copy that. We did that already. It don't work. You study. Stop playing games when it comes to us. But the foreigners, you give them reverence and they take your money. Stop playing games with us. Because I'll name some sheikhs that y'all all love, and they got a bunch of money, and a lot of it comes from us. We take out our community and give it to them, and they take it to their communities and build, and we stay in the same circumstances. If I name names, you get pissed off, so you know the truth. They come in our communities, take our money, Sufis, use it to build their institutions while we remain poor. Don't get me started. And we dumb niggas sit around talking about something spiritual. Excuse the harsh wording, but that's the reality. They come to our communities, take our money, give us Sufism, we do dhikr, they build institutions, and we remain poor. I'm not stupid we could be. And we'll give them all our loyalty and energy while we do nothing for ourselves. That's reality. And here's what I say about us. Sometimes we got to be honest. All the fake stuff we be doing, it ain't working. It's not working at all. It's not working. And some of us, the older we get, we realize how bad it's not working. We realize how bad it's not working. And we ain't got too much long. We ain't got too much long to play games. We don't got that kind of time. You're watching our communities be destroyed, decimated, and you playing games. You're playing games. We can't afford to do that. And that's when we start realizing why can we not raise money like the Ansars used to do, or the nation, or others? Because we lost the love for ourselves and we don't believe in ourselves no more. That's the answer to that. They may have been misguided. They may have had the wrong Aqidah. They cared about themselves, though, as a general rule, about themselves, so they were able to build. We lost that, and we need to regain it. We have the correct creed, and we have all that stuff, but we have no self-love. And that's what we need to work on. And I mentioned it. So that's the economic. Listen, that is a reality, and I'm gonna move on. That's number 4. Number 5, which is going to be the hard part. I think that's the most challenging after we do all that. Learning to live peacefully despite our differences by finding mutual needs and benefits that we can cooperate with one another. That's going to be hard, but it's needed. To get along, even though we differ, but find common ground to work together. That's difficult. That's going to be hard, but we need to do it. There's going to come a point, despite our disagreements in Aqidah and fiqh and everything else, where we learn to cooperate. Right? We have to learn that. That's going to be probably the most difficult task of all this stuff. All this other stuff is easier than this last one. But we have to learn how to do it. And what I realize is that to do that, is going to take a lot. You got to have patience, right? It's going to take a lot of patience. A lot of patience, right? And we're going to have to see good in addition to the bad we see in people. So we see the things we disagree about, which is bad stuff. But likewise, the people have some good, and we got to see that as well. And see how we can merge those things while we still disagree. I'll give you an example. The whole Sufi approach that some of these guys have, I totally disagree with it. Right? The whole Sufi approach that I see a lot of our people carrying, I totally disagree with it. Totally. Right? Absolutely disagree with it. A lot of the black Sufis, the way I see we going, I totally disagree with it. But I also see good in it. Right? So I see some good, and I'm able to tolerate it, despite the things I disagree with. Some of these guys, they say they Sufi and they end up having beliefs that's kufr in the name of tasawwuf. I'm a Sufi, but my belief system is kufr. And I don't need to be specific, right? Their Sufism led to kufr, right? I disagree with that. I think you should learn and not just walk around following the sheikh and doing dhikr. You need to learn your religion, especially the proper creed in Islam, the proper aqidah in Islam, and not just in the name of spirituality fall into kufr. But that's a different discussion. Doesn't mean that that's just one aspect of it. There are other things we could work on, right? And maybe in the process of working on those other things, we can get to where you're not thinking kufr about Allah on the base of tasawwuf, right? I'm being real, right? I've seen people in the name of Sufism think they can become one with Allah. This is kufr. Whoever believes that ain't a Sufi or a Muslim. We can become one with Allah. A'udhu billah. That's kufr. That's not Islam. But people believe that in the name of tasawwuf. A'udhu billah. I repeat, to believe that you become united with Allah, one with Allah, is kufr. But there are people thinking, if I be so much spiritual, I become one with Allah. A'udhu billah. I've heard them. Some popular people say that stuff. So, but that doesn't mean it's all bad. This is an extreme. We can fix it. We can cooperate here, right? We can't just say, man, that belief is kufr. Until you change it, I have nothing to do with you, despite all the other good stuff. We got to work it out. If you understand my point. So that's my laundry list for today. And Talib, I don't know if that question's to me, and if it is, I don't know what you're talking about. So you should clarify. Uh, so that's it for me. Uh, all this stuff is what we're trying to do in the summit. All of it. We can't do everything at one time, but this is a roadmap that we need to be looking at, and we need all hands on deck, right? And I ain't saying I have all the answers because I don't. I have some answers and a lot of questions and a lot of generalities that need specifics. But I believe we're going in the direction of what we need. I believe that. Oh, when they say one with Allah, you would have to ask the person, what do they mean? I don't care what they mean. It's wrong, no matter what they mean. You're not one with Allah in no way. Uh, if you mean by that your total focus is on Allah, this is valid. If it means indwelling, uniting, this is kufr. So it depends what the person, in words, period, it depends. What do they mean? But some of it is kufr, straight blasphemy, right? So it depends on al-qa'il, the one who's speaking. What do you mean? The words, not good, but you may intend something different. So that's the benefit of the doubt. But if you intend a blasphemous meaning, then that's kufr, period. Sometimes uh, we think everything's a game and we're not playing. It's serious, right? Everything's not a game. Some we have fun, we should, but everything's not a game. Some things are dead serious, right? And if we're going to be successful, we have to get a little serious. Sometimes let's have fun. Yeah, we should, but not everything's entertainment. And we have to be sharp enough to distinguish when it's entertaining time and when it's time to get serious and roll up our sleeves. We have to distinguish those two things. No one walks around all work. No, we got to have some fun too. But we need to distinguish when it's time to have fun and when we got to roll up our sleeves and work. All right, I'm done with that. If there's any brief questions, I'll take them. If not, tonight we have another round table. We're going to have these during Black History Month. Inshallah, tonight will be with us Imam Sulaiman Hamid, the Imam of Atlanta Masjid of Islam. He will be with us tonight. I think we had 7 or 8. I got to check your thing. I think it's 7. We said 7, but it may be, I think it's 7, but it may be 8. I don't remember. I forgot the time we agreed, but I think it's 7 o'clock. And I want to say this. A lot of times, don't even let me start. I'm not politically correct at all, period. I'm talking to my people, and my people understand us, right? Others may listen, and you're always welcome. But I warn you, when you listen to me, keep in mind that I'm going to talk to my people, and I'm not going to curb my speech to soothe your ego or your sensitivities, because my people need a certain speech. They need real talk. And some things we just understand. We do. We get it. And if you talk to us in another way, we won't get it. We have our own way. We have our own dialogue. We have our own way of speaking. And they don't have the same context as you may understand it. But among us, we understand. And we got to stop being other than ourselves. It's fine. Words have context and meanings, especially to the hearer and the listener. What may mean one thing to you means a whole different thing to another person who understands the culture. I'm not an immigrant. I'm an African American from the inner city. And we know how to talk to each other. We understand. And we know how to deal with each other too. The old days, when you came in the masjid, you get out of line, somebody would dress you up. And I don't mean put clothes on you. We left that mindset, and it developed a level of disrespect for our institutions. Our institutions become locations of disrespect. Our leadership became objects of disrespect. It was a time you bet not disrespect the imam. You bet not. You bet not talk like that. I don't care how you feel. You better watch your mouth. Straight up. I remember those days. Some of us are too young to remember those days where you had to have respect. You bet not disrespect that Muslim sister. That was in the Black community. When the guy on the corners would be hanging out and they see a Muslim sister walk by, everything stops till she get by. Even the speech. You bet not disrespect that sister. But that was our culture. And it led to certain things because we know how to deal with us. But we forget all this stuff. We went to be someone else and boom, our joint just collapsed. And we need to regain all that. We need to regain it as a people. The model that others have given us doesn't work for us. It doesn't work and won't work. We need to learn the deen and apply it in our own reality. That's real. It's real. There's no way around it. And if we don't get it, we in trouble. I got a call from an imam from the D, from Detroit. And they asked me about some circumstances. I said, Imam, don't ask me because I would deal with that totally different. He said, I know, that's why I'm calling you. You know, we got a lot of work to do. But inshallah, that's some steps. And inshallah, you know, we'll get it. And we need to unify around the country. We need our masajid and our imams, our black masajid and our black imams working together, talking together, having real talk. We need to increase that. all around the country, because we have shared interests. We have shared interests, and we have to use them for our advantage, our collective advantage, our shared interests. May Allah reward you, inshallah. We'll see you tonight with Imam Sulaiman Hamid, or Hamid. I don't know why I keep mixing up his last name. He's gonna kill me. Inshallah, we'll see you tonight. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.